Leviticus 11. Clean and unclean meats. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them, of all the land animals these are the ones you may eat. Any animal that has hooves you may eat, provided it is cloven-footed and chews the cud. But you shall not eat of any of the following among those that only chew the cud or only have hooves: the camel, which indeed chews the cud but does not have hooves, and therefore unclean for you. A rock horax, which is indeed chews its cud but does not have hooves and is therefore unclean to you. The hare, which indeed chews the cud but does not have hooves and therefore is unclean to you. And the pig, which does indeed have hooves and is cloven-footed but does not chew cud, and the cud is therefore unclean to you. You shall not eat their meat, and you shall not touch their carcass. They are unclean for you. Of the various creatures that live in water, you may eat the following: whatever in the sea or in the river that has fins and scales, you may eat. But of the creatures that swarm in the water, or animals that otherwise live in the water, whether the sea or in the rivers, all these that lack either fins or scales are loathsome for you, and shall always be loathsome for you. Their meat you shall not eat, and their carcass you shall loathe. Every water creature that lacks fins or scales is loathsome for you. Of the birds these you shall loathe, and they shall not be eaten. They are loathsome: the griffin vulture, the bearded vulture, the black vulture, the kite, the various species of falcons, the various species of crows, the eagle, owl, the kestrel, the long-eared owl, various species of hawks, the little owl, the cormorant, the screech owl, the barn owl, the horned owl, the osprey, the stork, various species of herons, the hoopie, and the bat. Various winged insects that walk on all fours are loathsome for you. But of the various winged insects that walk on all fours, you may eat of those who have legs jointed above their feet for leaping on the ground. Henceforth you may eat the following: the various kinds of locusts, the various kinds of bald locusts, the various kinds of crickets, the various kinds of grasshoppers. All the winged insects that have 4 legs are loathsome for you. You may become unclean by the following: anyone who touches their carcasses shall be unclean until evening. Anyone who carries any part of their carcass shall wash his garments and be unclean until evening. By all hoofed animals that are cloven-footed or do not chew the cud, they are unclean for you. Anyone who touches them becomes unclean. Also by the various quadrupeds that walk on paws, they are unclean for you. Anyone who touches their carcasses shall be unclean until evening. Anyone who carries their carcasses shall wash his garments and be unclean until evening. They are unclean for you. Of the creatures that swarm on the ground, the following are unclean for you: the rat, the mouse, the various kinds of lizards, the gecko, the spotted lizard, the agama, the skink, and the chameleon. I've never heard of that. Among the various swarming creatures, these are unclean for you. Everyone who touches them when they are dead shall be unclean until evening. Anyone on which of them falls when dead becomes unclean, including any article of wood, cloth, leather, or goat hair. Any article of which use can be made must be immersed in water and remain unclean until evening, when it becomes clean. Should any of these creatures fall into a clay vessel, everything in it becomes unclean. The vessel itself you must break. Any food that can be eaten makes contact with water, and any liquid that may be drunk in any such vessel becomes unclean. Any object on which any part of their carcass falls becomes unclean. If it is an oven or a stove, this must be broken into pieces. They are unclean and shall always be unclean to you. However, the spring or cistern for collecting water shall remain clean. But whatever touches such animal's carcass becomes unclean. If any part of the carcass falls on the sort of grain that is to be sown, it remains clean. But if the grain has become moistened, it becomes unclean to you when any part of their carcass falls on it. When one of the animals that you could otherwise eat dies of itself, anyone who touches its carcass shall be unclean until evening. And anyone who eats any part of its carcass shall wash his garments and be unclean until evening. So also anyone who carries its carcass shall wash his garments and be unclean until evening. All the creatures that swarm on the ground are loathsome and shall not be eaten, whether it crawls on its belly, goes on all fours, or has many legs. Any creature that swarms on the earth, you shall not eat them. They are loathsome. Do not make yourselves loathsome by any swarming creature. Is it an ant?
Yes.
He's all unclean.
Yes.
Nor defile yourself with them, and so become unclean with them. For I, the Lord, am your God, and you shall make and keep yourselves holy, because I am holy. You shall make yourselves unclean then by any swarming creature that crawls on the ground. Since I, the Lord, am the one who brought you up from the land of Egypt, that I may be your God, you shall be holy, because I am holy. This is the instruction for land, animals, birds, and all creatures that move about the water, as well as any animal that swarms on the ground, that you may distinguish between the clean and the unclean, and between creatures that may be eaten and those that may not be eaten.